Sometimes we're afraid to let go because we're afraid that nothing better will ever come. We're afraid that this is the end, that where we are is all we'll ever go, that this is all we'll ever have. Little do we know that our overthinking mind is the only thing keeping us confined. Underneath all those worries and fears is the truth. And the truth is that as you let go, you begin to receive. And as you make peace, you begin to understand. And as you take control, you begin to see your role. The role you played in the pain, the role you had in the demise. And so you start to see with different eyes. And through it all, you begin to realize that all you ever needed to let go was to forgive. So, as you can see here, I have this little box, circle, bin, container, whatever, of prompts. So let's pull and see where we start. Okay, the first thing that we are going to be talking about is evolutionary safety. Before we get into why or how to deal with rejection, let's talk about the evolutionary aspects of it. So I don't know if you guys can relate, but we've all been through maybe kind of a rough breakup, or maybe we didn't get the job that we really, really tried to get. And that person leaving our life or that opportunity not falling through actually takes a really big blow on your mental health and your spirit, your way of showing up. You aren't yourself anymore because you just feel like it's been a shot at who you are. We all know that feeling. Basically, behavioral psychologists have studied rejection and why we feel this emotional and visceral experience that comes with it, like the pain that we feel, the deterioration in mental health. Why do we feel all these things? And the conclusion that they came up with was that back in the day, in the caveman times, human beings lived in tribes, communities, social networks that were really tight-knit, and where everyone kind of had a role that played into the survival of the community. And so when someone was rejected, that meant that it was a threat to their safety. They were no longer going to be able to survive because how could they on their own? Being rejected at that time meant that you were no longer protected. It meant that you were left to fend for yourself, and oftentimes that wouldn't end in survival. And so that kind of explains why we have this visceral, which means your bodily response to rejection, where you feel maybe super anxious, maybe you go through panic attacks. I remember, this is honestly super embarrassing to say, but I remember when I was around 18 years old and I was in a relationship at the time, I just knew the relationship was not going to work out anymore. He started talking to me different. We didn't really hang out as much anymore. And I just knew the relationship was going downhill. And there was one thing that he said to me or did or through text, and it just triggered me into this panic attack. And I remember in the middle of the night, my first time ever experiencing a full-on panic attack where I was breaking into sweats, my heart rate was racing, and I'm like, what is going on? Why am I feeling this right now? And it's because rejection actually has an evolutionary root to it. On an evolutionary level, when we feel like someone doesn't value our social connection, it feels like a threat, and it feels like we are not going to be able to survive. And so that's why we have these panic attacks, or we have these visceral responses. And so when I was 18 experiencing this, I didn't fully understand why I was having such a big response to feeling rejected. You being rejected by your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or not getting your job, does not mean that you will not be able to survive. It does not mean that your life is over. Oftentimes in the moment, we can think that, and our body could be telling us, based off of the panic attacks that we're going through, immense amount of anxiety or sadness that we're experiencing. But that is not the case. There is so much waiting for you in the future. I look back on my life now and I'm like, oh my God, girl, you're so silly. You really thought that your life was over? You really thought that? No, honey. Oh my God, let me tell you what is coming, Don't confuse what your body is telling you with what actually is. Your body and your nervous system works off of memory, right? That's why you can get triggered. Someone says something and you're triggered. That is your nervous system. It isn't that that person is dangerous, or that person doesn't like you, or that person is mean, or whatever it is. No, that's your nervous system flaring up. Okay, pain. Pain and self-reflection. This is a good one. Okay, so the pain that you feel when you are going through rejection is there for a reason. While you are feeling the pain of rejection, it is an opportunity to self-reflect on what went down. I'm feeling this pain and I'm feeling so emotionally triggered. I feel like I'm not worthy. I feel like I'm not valuable. I feel like I'm less of a person because of this rejection. But now it's my opportunity to not just kind of sit in the pain and let it consume me, but actually use it as a prompt for self-reflection. Did this person reject me because of who I am inherently or because we wanted different things? Maybe I wasn't able to give this person what they were looking for. And so it isn't a reflection of who I am at my core, but just what we want and need within close, intimate relationships. You know, sometimes we take things super personal. We think that everything is a reflection of who we are. And it's like, no, like you're a great person and you have a lot of great things about yourself. You're not perfect, but maybe what this person is looking for is not what you have. And that does not mean that what you have is not enough. There is going to be someone else in your life that loves the things that you might not even see as valuable, right? And so it's really just sitting and saying, okay, maybe I just don't have what this person is looking for. Another option is saying, was this rejection unfair? Was there a bit of injustice in this rejection, right? Your self-reflection is an opportunity to explore all opportunities. Is this a person expecting something that is absolutely ridiculous? Like, are they being unfair and hurtful? That's a possibility. You've got to self-reflect on that and you've got to come to that conclusion. And I'm the type of person that likes to have these conversations. And so if we go through a breakup, I guess, yeah, let's talk about it in terms of a breakup, because if it was a job, you can't really ask like, well, why didn't I get the job? Well, maybe you can actually, but I'm the type of person that like, if we go through a breakup or if I'm experiencing rejection, I want to know why on your end, because I've got to get through my self-reflection process. And so I'm going to ask questions like, well, why did that happen? And where was your headspace at this time? And yada, yada, yada. And even when it comes to like job opportunities, where you don't necessarily get the job, you can actually send an email and say, thank you so much for the opportunity. I would just like to know where there are areas that I could improve in. Maybe you lacked in some aspect of your interview. And so finding out and asking these questions of like, hey, where did I go wrong? Hey, where do you think I can improve next time, right? Asking these questions helps give us feedback and we can kind of calibrate like, okay, is this breakup fair? Are we just looking for different things? Or is this actually not fair and uncalled for? Answers that you get from these questions are going to help you determine whether it's unreasonable or not. And so self-reflection is super, super important. Let's pull another one. Ooh, pain and protection. Amazing. Okay, so pain and protection. The pain that you were feeling, the self-reflection that you were going through actually helps you find protection. And it does so in a way that is so beautiful, because after you do your self-reflective work and after you've kind of figured out whether it was called for, whether it wasn't, are there things that maybe I need to look out for, you can start to take note of red flags. You can start to take note of things that don't necessarily serve you, or maybe some areas where you are falling short. Going through rejection serves as protection. You being rejected by that person or that job wasn't necessarily for you. Like if you were rejected by it, it was not for you. And so it's protection in that way. There's something else that God has for you. And then in another way, after you've done your self-reflective work, after you've analyzed what kind of happened in the situation, it helps you protect yourself and navigate through your future. And so what that looks like is like, okay, now I can kind of see what people don't really mesh with me. This is a red flag. If someone isn't able to communicate, that is a red flag for me. If someone is too quick to move into a relationship and they're not really taking time with things, they're just kind of rushing. I might have to look at that and say, okay, what does that really say about it? But why are they rushing so much? Like, what is really going on in this situation? We can start to look at things and say, okay, these are areas that I can protect myself in the future. Maybe I need someone that is a little more outgoing, has a more verbal or communicative personality, because I'm not so much like that and I need someone to pull that out of me, right? And so it's taking note and trying to guide your life in a better direction. Now, I will say this, that red flags are important to note, but everybody's red flags are different. And so I know sometimes us girls, I don't know if guys do this, but us girls, we could go to our friends and tell them like the full story of like, oh my God, I'm talking to this new guy, or like he's like this and he's like that. And our friends will be like, ooh, girl, that's a red flag. Like, you could say something like so simple, like he's tall and he talks a lot. And they're like, oh my God, no, girl, I talked to a guy and he talked a lot and it was red flag, right? That might be a red flag for your friend, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a red flag for you. And so you've kind of got to be open-minded to us in a sense of like, okay, red flags are subjective, and what is a red flag to you is not necessarily a red flag to me. And even the red flags that I have for myself, I've still got to be open-minded, because honestly, this is why I don't even subscribe to like the idea of having red flags or green flags, if I'm being honest, because it's just like, what do I know? Like, I could have a list of red flags and a list of like things I will not put up with. You know, when we write lists, it's like, no, throw that list out, because at the end of the day, you don't even know what's good for you. You might think that you need a really talkative person in your life, a really outgoing, someone that is super sensitive, but it's like, well, is that going to pull the best out of you? And how would you know that? When it comes to relationships, I don't know about you guys, but when I think of relationships, I'm thinking long-term, I'm thinking marriage, I'm thinking lifelong commitments. And so it's like, I don't even know the type of person that I'm going to be 10 years from now, let alone 20, 30 years from now. And so I don't know what's a green or red flag for me. I know that there are characteristics that I can see in other people that are admirable and honorable, and I want those in people. I want someone that is kind. I want someone that is patient. These are all virtues that are important for anyone to have. Just as a human being, you should be these things or aspire to be these things. But when it comes to the little things that we kind of write red and green flags about, they're usually based on our desires. You could have a desire for one thing, but that not be nourishing spiritually or mentally, especially not in the long run. And so it's just about being open-minded when it comes to red flags. Be open-minded. Okay, we're almost done. We are going to pull, I think there's like 2 more. Tips. I've definitely got some tips for you guys. The first tip being that if you are going through rejection, connect with the people that already love you. Connect with the people that show up for you, because it's in the moments of going through rejection that you need that reminder. You need that reminder. You need to be around love. I wrote this poem a while ago that maybe I should read, because it really does like relate to this. Let me find it. Ooh, I found it pretty quick. Okay, so let's read together actually. Go where the love is. Go where it's warm and it pours out unconditionally. Go where the love is patient and kind, where it serves to do nothing but enjoy the space and time. How often do we chase things or people that aren't necessarily chasing us back? We strive and fight to be in positions and places that don't even allow us to be comfortable. There are some people that we can't even sit around at ease. And now I don't know what that is or why that is, but I do know that there are places and people filled with so much love to give. So much love to give in ways that we can receive it. Love allows us to be ourselves, and there is nothing like the freedom to be ourselves. Okay, the last prompt is, I know what it is already. Reminders. Some simple reminders is that you are never alone. You are never alone when it comes to rejection. I know it feels like it's a really big blow and that no one else has experienced what you are feeling, but rejection is probably one of the most common things that we all go through. And so you are not alone in that feeling. And I know sometimes it can come with a bit of embarrassment and a bit of shame to kind of admit that you were rejected, but it's something that we all experience and that we've all been through. Rejection is God's protection. I know that's such a cliche and we hear it all the time. You being rejected is not a reflection of who you are. It's actually God protecting you. Most times it's God protecting you, because if it was supposed to happen, it would happen. I'm that type of person. I believe in that. If it was supposed to happen, it would happen. If you are being rejected, if you didn't get the job that you hoped for, if the relationship didn't work out, hey man, God has got something better for you. And he's going to take what you have been through in this situation and use it to pour into that next thing that's coming for you. And so don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Rejection is something that we all go through. thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys so much, and I love the community that we are building. And so I'm just happy that you made it this far in the video, or that you even clicked on the video. So leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment down your thoughts, your stories, or anything that you want to share with the group. Thank you again, and I will see you in another one. Peace and love, and bye for now.